Yeah. So right here, around the corner from here. I know that. He's on to capacity, his kids, yeah, well, I'm only here to go to. His was the person that started it and did it. And he was here for like 20 some years. There. He's so so now it's 50 million. You have to make years. And you have to have. Oh, and still they enjoy much from all these students, you know, this is.
We're live, Lila.
Okay.
Are you going to take one?
I guess so, yeah. I guess so, I don't know.
I'm just here to watch it.
I
Talk
don't
about
know
it.
the answer.
That's all the people sound And so, seasonal brand. No, I'm saying.
Real stuff. By the end. Not like crazy stuff. They They're small. It wasn't just like the small, like the ones that are bumps. It was like full on like. You do those. Small.
Get one for me, please. Did you get one for me as well? Yeah. You're on the other side. So, first thing this guy here.
Pretty cool if you can reach down and grab four.
How's the air over there?
One day I think she'll be, she'll back. Reach down and grab
Good, we're
four.
out there.
I believe in her.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay.
I love it.
That's not politically.
Vote for no prize, no prize, zero.
Oh, my God. I say, thank you. Thank you. No price. Thank you.
No prize.
Thanks so much.
Okay, everybody, how you doing? Good?
Good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Sure.
Shabbat shalom, all good things.
That's what I'm.
Okay. So. We are in Parsha Bo. Okay, which if you have the actual book, we are gonna start on page 409. I will share the screen in a moment. But I wanted first for us to just find a sense of presence here in the moment, just allow ourselves to be here in the Beit Midrash, leave all the Mishagas outside and just be here. Today we're gonna talk about stories. Today we're going, Parshat Bo reminds us of an amazing moment in our tradition. It's the moment when we stood at the threshold between slavery and freedom. It's the moment when we as a people were commanded two things. The first mitzvah is to set sacred time. We established a calendar in the midst of darkness in Egypt. We'll learn a little bit more about what I mean by that in just a few moments. And then we are also given a second command, a second obligation, and that is to tell, to become a nation of storytellers. And it's going to be a remarkable moment that is going to transform us as a people, meaning we are going to become a people as a result of the story that becomes a part of who we are, the legacy that we will continue to share and become. And it's an amazing moment. There are so many things that God could have commanded us to do in that space in darkness, in that space in Egypt of bondage, as we were preparing to just, in a moment, stand up and go and march towards freedom. There are many things that God could have asked or required of us, obligated of us to do. And it's a simple, concept, the idea to remember and to tell. But it's so much more than that. It seems simple to gather and tell stories. But it's much more profound. The idea that we have this incredible obligation, command, mitzvah as part of our tradition to tell the story from where we've come. It's not a suggestion, by the way, right? It becomes ritualized into what we know of as the Passover Seder. That we have an entire holiday and ritual that more than any other holiday, Jews around the world participate in a Seder. They may not do anything else Jewishly, but it's like in the high 90% that Jews around the world participate in a Seder ritual. More than anything else, more than lighting Shabbos candles, more than Hanukkah, anything else, Passover Seder. Okay, so I wanted to keep that in our minds as we read this Torah portion today, because I think that's incredibly significant because it's a part of the sort of our Jewish DNA. It's part of the fabric of who we are. This idea that we are, that it is incumbent upon us to tell our story. Generation to generation, year after year at the same time. And to not just tell the story, but tell the story as if we experienced the story. Which is a very different way of telling the story. If you think about bedtime stories that you remember as a child, all right, I want to give you a moment to think about that. Whether it's a bedtime story or whether it's a story of lore in your family, think about that story that you remember. Take a second and sit there and think about a story that you remember being told as a child. How is that story transmitted to you? With what kind of energy or enthusiasm, in what kind of voice, right? In what kind of way or space or time did that story, how was it told to you that it resonated and then remained a part of who you are? Can you picture it? Can you hear the voice? Can you think about it? If there are definitely moments of my life and my childhood that I can remember certain stories that were told. My father was an excellent bedtime storyteller, okay? And it was always about the adventures of Lachis, the amazing flying horse, who flew over Miami Beach, okay? That's where we grew up, right? And that's how he got us still and calm and off to sleep. The amazing stories of Lachis and his pal Dreidel. Okay, so you can imagine. I still know that story. All right, I can hear his voice. I can imagine those moments. I can see myself in the room listening with enthusiasm as he shared that Lachis was walking with Dreidel, right? And he would fill up at the gas station on 41st Street, you know, like, these are just things you remember. It's very similar to the stories that are contained here in the Torah, but the story of the Exodus from Egypt, that moment when we are told it's time, stand up and go, is contained in these books, the Haggadah. Now, I am fascinated by the Haggadah. Okay, I am. So anywhere I go, and I only brought a few of them because I only had so much space, I collect Haggadot from around the world. No matter where I am in the world, I always have some sort of a Jewish element to my travels. But I always, no matter where I am, have to find some kind of a Jewish store that carries Jewish books so that I can find a Haggadah. Like, that's my mission, my quest. So here's from Australia, okay? Right, this one is from Amsterdam, right? The interesting thing about them is, there's so many interesting things about them, but like the design of them, right? So, got the CD. If anyone has a CD player, let me know. So I can listen to what it says on there, okay? Sorry, that's perfect. But like, look at the design of it, right? There's a different kind of a design to this one versus this Haggadah, which was as a child, like,
Oh, yeah.
right? You have this one, right? This was what I grew up with, hours around the table reading every moment of that, right? The Haggadah from the hostages, 2 years ago, they produced this Haggadah, that I made sure to get when I was there. And over time, you collect things.
With the Maxwell house.
Well, that one I didn't bring. That one I didn't bring. That one, how about the Publix one? You ever have Publix Haggadah? Okay, there you go. Publix. So the Haggadah to me is an incredible reflection of our story as a people. The words in all of these Haggadot are similar, just like the Torah, but each of them have nuance depending on the community in which they represent, which is very similar to what our stories are. The stories have similarity, but yet there's nuance depending on where we grew up, the context in which we lived. But there's a foundational premise because we share a common history, which stems from this book, the Torah, that tells a fascinating story about who we are and who we hope to be.
Have you ever seen the Arthur Szyk, SZYK Haggadah? Oh, you should look that one up. It's really spectacular.
Okay.
He was a wonderful illustrator.
Mm.
And he immigrated during World War II, and his Haggadah is all references to the Holocaust.
Yeah.
The iconography is really magnificent.
Yes, beautiful. I'll look that up for sure. And then I created my own Haggadah. So when I was in rabbinical school, one of the things that I did in the library one day was I went and took every single Haggadah that the library and rabbinical school had in the shelves. And I read through all of them to understand the differences in all the communities. And then over time, I created my own. I created my own with the images and the pictures of my own family story. And it's become like a fun thing to do before Passover to create a Haggadah. At some point today in our class, as we start to read when the first ritual of the telling of the story happens, I'm gonna pass these Haggadot around, and I want you all to look at them and to see, to capture some of the essence of what this story is telling through the different languages of our people and the different experiences of our people. And even if you don't understand, the language in which it's written, it's tying you back to a particular time and place, and the time and place is what we read this week. Okay? So let's do our blessing together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu v'chasdot b'divrei Torah. Amen. All right, so here we are in the book of Exodus, Shmot, chapter 11. If you have the book open, we're starting on page 409. Okay. What I want to do is I want to take us into that moment. So just to set the context, the Egyptians we have the Israelites and the Egyptians in Egypt. Moses and Aaron have gone before Pharaoh 9 times. And every time Pharaoh goes, oh, sure, you can let your people go, and then changes his mind. No, you can't let the people go. And another plague comes upon Egypt. They've experienced 9 plagues at this moment. And then what's happening and what's coming next is what? The 10th plague, which is? Right, the death of the firstborn. Okay, so we're going to start with that scene. So just imagine darkness has been upon Egypt. The darkness has lifted because that plague has come and gone. And now Pharaoh's heart has hardened once again. And God tells Moses, I am going to send one final plague. This plague is truly going to be it. And you're going to be leaving. Just letting you know, I'm giving you a heads up. This one is going to be the one that will redeem our people. And so I want to take us to that moment. And we're going to move through until we get to the command. Okay? Fair? All right. Vayomer Moshe, Moses says, thus say God, toward midnight, I will go forth from among the Egyptians, umet hol b'chor, and every male firstborn in the land of Egypt shall die. From the firstborn of Pharaoh who sits on the throne to the firstborn of the slave woman who is behind the millstones, and all the firstborn of the cattle. V'hayita tza'aka g'dola b'chol eretz Mitzrayim, and there shall be a loud cry in the land of Egypt, such has never been or will ever be again. But not a dog shall snarl at any of the Israelites, at human or animal, in order that you may know that God makes a distinction between Egypt, Uvain, Israel, and between Israel. Then all these courtiers of yours shall come down to me, and I bow low to me, and saying, depart, you and all the people who follow after you. After that I will depart. And he left Pharaoh's presence in hot anger. Now God had said to Moses, Pharaoh will not heed you, in order that my marvels may be multiplied in the land of Egypt. Moses and Aaron performed all these marvels before Pharaoh, but God had stiffened the heart of Pharaoh so that he would not let the Israelites go from his land. We touched on this a little bit last week with Rabbi Kaylee, but the interesting piece here that we talk about is when we usually tell the story, we say that Pharaoh's heart was hardened. The nuance is, who does it say here hardens Pharaoh's heart? God. God stiffens, hardens the heart of Pharaoh. Right? It is this interesting sort of very difficult also sort of understanding of what happened if God is hardening the heart of Pharaoh, right? Meaning God is causing the plagues to come. Why is that? Why not just say, why harden Pharaoh's heart? Just let them go, right? Right, and why go through all of the plagues? Like, why do you need all of it? Just send them out, go, right? It's part of this story. Every step of part of it is an intentional step. And some would say, well, that it wasn't just for the Egyptians to know the strength and might of God, but it was for the Israelites, for the people to know that this God, look at all these things, look at all of these marvels and miracles and all of the incredible elements of this story that leads to your redemption. It's not just up and out, right? Like there was this performative sort of aspect to it to heighten the Israelites' understanding and understanding of God's capability and capacity. Vayomer Adonai al Moshe vel Haron, and God says to Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt. Here's what's interesting. Okay, so we go from the end of 11, which is talking about the death of the firstborn, the idea that God stiffens Pharaoh's heart, and then chapter 12 opens with this. God says to Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, HaChodesh hazeh lachem rosh chodeshim, rishon hu lachem l'chodshei hashana. This month shall mark for you the beginning of the months. It shall be the first of the months of the year for you. Speak to the whole community of Israel and say that on the 10th of this month, each family shall take for itself a lamb to a household. I'm going to stop there for a second. What happens here?
It's a new year.
Oh, right, okay, but what, even step out of for just a second, go like one element above. What is God saying here to do?
Eat a lamb sandwich.
Okay, what? Okay, but before that,
There you go.
make a calendar. So interesting. Oh my gosh. We're in the midst of this incredibly powerful moment. There's like a crescendo moment in this story. If you're watching a play or a theater performance, there's a crescendo moment. The death of the firstborn. We're about to see what's going to happen. Are we actually going to go? Are we going to be redeemed? And all of a sudden God says, sit down and make a calendar. Right? Make a calendar. Set a new month. This is the beginning. But actually think about what you're saying.
He's saying before, this is your time, it's not Pharaoh's time.
Okay.
It's not his time, that when you're a slave, your time is not your own time.
You have no time, right?
It's not you don't own your time.
Right.
And here he's saying, now as a community, you own your time, especially in, let's say, a year, or especially that day, because don't they slaughter a lamb and
Right, we're getting to.
right, but from here on, you now own your own time, which is very special because it's yours, it's not Pharaoh's.
Beautifully said. Yeah, Bobby.
Like a new birth, it's a new beginning, and it's a new start, it's a new life for you. You're gonna mark this.
You're gonna mark this moment. Beautiful. Yeah,
Not gonna mind. Trust me, you don't wanna.
okay.
I'm just creating a lamb sandwich right now.
I trust you. It's this amazing moment, just as Dory and Bobby said. Imagine this. All of a sudden, all of this is about to happen. They haven't gotten to the free land yet. They haven't left bondage yet. In the space of darkness and slavery and bondage and hardship is where God says it is in this moment, at this time. HaChodesh hazeh lachem rosh chodeshim rishon. In this place, at this time, in this moment, right now, make for yourself sacred time. Create time. Create a beginning.
Which is consistent with actually with, you right, the first day, the second day, and then this rest. There's always been an emphasis on time.
God creates time. Right? That's the beauty of this, of the seventh day. We often say that God rests on the seventh day. But actually, if you look at the language of it, God sanctifies that day as holy. God creates holy time. It's an incredible obligation and a model for us to know that we can create time. Now, what's also hard about that is because then you have this idea of how can I create time? My day is so incredibly packed. I get home and I feel like, where'd the time go? I have no time, right? I don't have time for this. I only have time for other things. Where's my time? Right? Any of this sound familiar? Time's not mine. It's always on somebody else's time. I'm always moving according to your time. What about my time? Right? But our tradition says something very interesting. It's an obligation, responsibility, mitzvah, commandment to create time. And to do so, the people are doing it at a time of darkness. Same thing with God. When God creates the world, God creates it out of tohu vavohu, out of chaos and disorder and darkness. There is no such thing. God creates the time. But what I find so significant here is that for all of the moments and all the verses that we have studied from the beginning, literally from Bereshit, we've studied together, this is the first time that we're given such a command to set a calendar. This begins what we know of as the Hebrew calendar, the lunar calendar, right? Mark it. It's also a powerful place to realize and to recognize that this is when we start to become a people, because we have a shared understanding of time.
Egypt must have had a calendar at the same time, so how was this calendar distinguishing itself from their calendar?
We're gonna find out. Also, because they're gonna determine when it's their time, what's the beginning. Now, what's interesting here is this month is gonna be known as Nisan. When do you think the Hebrew calendar starts? Rosh Hashanah, right?
Adar.
What?
Adar.
Adar is lovely, that'd be a great time, because it's a happy month, but Adar is coming up, which is Purim, which is in like a few weeks from now. Okay, so it's not Adar. When is Rosh Hashanah? Tishrei. Is Tishrei this moment? No, this is gonna be Nisan. So interestingly enough, Rosh Hashanah is not the first day of the first month of the Hebrew calendar. Who here is surprised? You're not surprised?
No, because we're gonna get the rest of the
I was
calendar.
like, I am not surprised.
On Shavuot, right? Shavuot, we're getting the Torah, so that's gonna tell us all the rest of the days that we have, you know what I mean? So I'm not surprised, we don't have the Torah yet. We don't have that relationship with God, where God, when he gives us the Torah, it says what days we should celebrate. Right, so we
Right.
don't have that book yet.
True, we don't, but we are being told what to celebrate and when.
Right. but
Which
this
is gonna start now,
Right.
okay, which is also something significant. So the Passover experience is not just about retelling of the story, it's also about the retelling of the moment in which we begin. As a people, you had your hand up.
Two things. Number one, I think it's important to building Israel as a people, that we have a celebration around something that's communal, unlike, slavery to celebrate. Second, and more importantly, I think it's interesting that God starts time for Jews at the moment of our redemption from slavery.
Of course, yeah, it's incredibly significant, it's quite profound, actually. Right, there could have been plenty of other moments in which we start with the first day of the first month, right? But we started here, alright, so let's keep going. Not only do you declare it, but now we're gonna have a ritual, right? No surprise. We have a ritual to mark it, okay? Speak to the whole community of Israel and say that on the 10th of this month, each family shall take for itself a lamb. But if the household is too small for a lamb, let it share one with a neighbor who dwells nearby. In proportion to the number of persons, you shall contribute for the lamb according to which household should eat. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a yearling male. You may take it from the sheep or from the goats. You shall keep watch over it until the 14th day of this month, and all the assembled congregation of the Israelites will slaughter it at twilight. And they shall take some of the blood and put it on the doorpost and the lintel of the house in which they are to eat it. They shall eat the flesh that same night. They shall eat it roasted over the fire with unleavened bread and with bitter herbs. Sound familiar?
It is a lamb sandwich.
It is, in fact, right?
Oh,
You ever hear the sandwich that you eat at the Seder table? Right?
Matzah.
Right? What? What else you put in? Maror and what else? Harissa, right? Right, but like, I want us to take a second, because when we think of creating our Seder tables, what?
There it is.
Here it is. And this is not happening a year after the redemption. This is happening in Egypt. And the actual first sandwich that we eat like this, or the first meal that we eat like this, is in Egypt before we leave. Okay? And what are we supposed to do? We go out and we take and we put the blood on the doorpost. Why? We're gonna learn this, but why? Right? To protect ourselves so that the angel of death passes over us, right? While we are inside the home, engaged in the ritual. Okay? Yeah.
I think it's interesting, the Israelites, even though they'd seen 9 plagues not free them, they asked Moses, why should you speak for us? Things got worse. They still trusted in God enough to say, okay, we'll celebrate our redemption before we're redeemed.
Interesting.
Well, we're about to see. Do not eat any of this raw or cooked in any other way with water, but roasted. Head, legs, and entrails over the fire. You shall not leave any of it over until morning. If any of it's left until morning, you shall burn it. This is how you shall eat it. Your loins girded, your sandals on your feet, and your staff in your hand. You shall eat it hurriedly. It is a Passover offering to God. Why?
I do the Seder hurriedly.
Why? Hold on.
You're about
Why?
to leave.
Why? You're about to leave.
Yeah.
But before you do,
You better
sit in this space. No, sit in this space. Absorb everything. Not just physically, spiritually, intellectually. Absorb it. If anything is left over, it's left. It's here. It's Egypt. Burn it. It's Egypt. Keep your shoes on.
Slavery behind.
And leave your slavery behind. Right, don't take a doggy bag, leave it, right? You don't need it, it's fine, I'll feed you, I promise, right? Like. Your staff in your hand, your shoes on your feet. Eat it hurriedly, and if anything's left, it's left. You eat what it is, absorb this moment. Absorb the moment in which you find yourself. Having a sense of awareness of what is happening outside of your door. Absorb it, take it in. Yeah.
So how come at the Seder, you're supposed to have a pillow as though you're reclining and you're not in a hurry?
Yeah, because now we're free.
Oh.
And those ritual elements come much later. The Mishnah is where we first start to see the extrapolation of that ritual of different elements, and then even later, when we are influenced by the Greeks that are around us and those big Greek and Roman festivals where people lounge, and that's real freedom, right? Like we see what the real, what the people of luxury have around us, and we want to mimic that. And so we actually take from some of those big, long festivals and ideas of our neighbors, and we incorporate them into our ritual. But the essence of it, what's at the foundational piece of what we know of as the Seder, is found here, and then next in the Mishnah, and then later on it'll be even, more elaborate. But the foundational elements start with Torah in Egypt. And then later on, we'll start to understand even further what this means and what the rest of the elements of the ritual entail that we know of today.
So, question, where do I remember, and maybe it's just made up in my old memory, but how do I remember that the matzah was, we were in such a hurry to leave Egypt that we didn't have time to put leavening, and so it.
You're gonna hear it.
But we were eating it beforehand.
Get ready,
So-
just wait. Torah does funny things, right? Funny things with time. How many stories of creation of man are there?
Two.
Right? How many stories of Passover Exodus are there? More than this one. Yeah,
I think that God is really demarcating that this night is different.
Yeah.
To eat differently, to prepare differently, to not be leisurely, that there's something, getting them prepared, that something is going to happen. Get ready to leave, but there's more to the story.
yes. And in addition, Fern, which we'll get to at
So I
the
didn't
second.
make it up on my-
No, you are good. In your bones, you got it. It's there. And we'll see it again, because what you're referring to here, though.
It's not the Maxwell house version.
No, it comes, I promise you, it's there, but what's interesting is there's gonna be two different two different tellings of this one moment,
Okay.
right? Because this moment says, you're not just running out, you have time to eat. Right, sit down and eat, share a meal, don't go so fast, but keep your shoes on. And then, I just love that part, like, I think that is just so, like. It's amazing.
Enjoy, but be ready.
Right, yeah, enjoy, but be ready, right, get ready to go. And then we're gonna hear it again, and then we're gonna hear it again, yes.
I just, to me, a couple of sentences above where, make sure your neighbors have the lamb, make sure that everybody has, to me, it's to be, it's charity that we all practice on a daily basis, and it's right.
Yeah, no, I know.
Some people practice, it's just amazing to me that that was part of the go-to instruction.
Yeah, and what's also interesting about that is that what are you supposed to do for your Seder? Invite people. No, you're supposed to invite someone to a Seder, especially if you know of someone who doesn't have a Seder to go to. You extend the invitation, right?
And make sure.
To make sure.
everybody has.
And make sure the community, make sure that people have a place to go, because we should all be sitting together to tell this story, right? Yeah, it's amazing, and it's right here it is. For that night, I will go through the land of Egypt and strike down every male firstborn in the land of Egypt, both human and animal. And I will mete out punishments to all the gods of Egypt. Ani Adonai, I am the Lord. And the blood on the houses where you are staying shall be a sign for you. When I see the blood, I will pass over you, so that no plague will destroy you when I strike the land of Egypt. V'haya hayom hazeh lachem lisikaron v'chagotem oto chag la'Adonai. This day shall be to you one of remembrance. You shall celebrate it as a festival to God throughout the ages. You shall celebrate it as an institution for all time. 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread. On the very first day you shall remove leaven from your houses. For whoever eats leavened bread from the first day to the seventh day, that person shall be cut off from Israel. It's toughy. You shall celebrate a sacred occasion on the first day and a sacred occasion on the seventh day. No work at all shall be done on them. Only what every person is to eat, that alone may be prepared for you. You shall observe the feast of unleavened bread, for on this very day I brought your ranks out of the land of Egypt, and you will observe this day throughout ages as an institution for all time. Time, create time, mark time, celebrate time, remember time. In the first month, from the 14th day of the month at evening, you shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the month at evening. No leaven shall be found in your houses for 7 days. What is interesting about this right now?
He's repeating it.
So we.
Okay, but just take for a second, where are we?
You're getting ready to leave, so where's your house?
Okay, great. You're getting ready to leave, where's your house? You told me to keep my shoes on and do this hurriedly. And now we're talking about 7 days. To mark this moment and to stay in this place, not work, and to do this and to mark this chag, this institution for all time, for 7 days. Okay, so that's curious, right? You start curious. It's not one day, right? Yeah.
It's a covenant. God's making a covenant to these people that you're gonna survive.
Yeah, but we're gonna start next year.
Right, you can only do one sort of ritual in time, right?
But it's a survival a covenant. You're gonna survive and you're gonna celebrate.
Okay, so that's very interesting. It's a covenantal promise to say, even after this moment, that I know it's in hardship and that we're getting ready to leave and it's unstable, there's fragility and there's the unknown. I promise you that next year, you'll be able to celebrate a remembrance of this moment for 7 days.
And
In
forever.
Jerusalem.
Okay, God willing. Dory and
And-
Spencer?
The other thing is, he repeats himself, you know, a lot of times. He doesn't just say it once and you sit there and you go, well, where did this commandment come from? He repeats it and he's saying, next year, wherever you are, next year in all your settlements, next year, no, I don't know how many times, you might know how many times he repeats this, saying no leavened bread, but it's obviously very important. He repeats it a lot.
It's very important,
Marcy.
but,
Marcy.
it's very important. Okay, so,
In verse 13,
Or
I'm
she.
wondering what the word used for you is. Because it struck me as what's the Hebrew for you here? In verse
That's
13. I'm wondering if he used a different Hebrew or word
for
to
meaning,
frame you. Cause he was separating out the Egyptians and the Israelites.
no,
Really
lachem,
starkly.
atem and lachem,
Okay,
yeah.
it felt like a very stark separation. I was wondering if he used a
It's
different.
probably just the way I read it. Moses then summoned all the Israelites, the elders of Israel, and said to them, go pick out lambs for your families and slaughter the Passover offering. Okay? Ulkachtem, take a bunch of hyssop, dip it in the blood. Remember dipping? We dip a lot at the Seder. Dip it in the blood that is in the basin and apply some of the blood that's in the basin to the doorpost. None of you shall go outside the door of your house in the morning. For God, when going through to smite the Egyptians, will see the blood on the doorpost, and God will pass over the door and not let the destroyer enter and smite your home. You shall observe this as an institution for all time for you and for your descendants. And when you enter the land that God will give you as promised, you shall observe this rite. And when your children ask you, what do you mean by this rite? You shall say, this is the Passover sacrifice to God who passed over the houses of the Israelites in Egypt when smiting the Egyptians, but saved our houses. Those assembled then bowed low in homage, and the Israelites went and did so, just as God had commanded Moses and Aaron, so they did. And in the middle of the night, God struck down all the male firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh who sat on the throne to the firstborn of the captive who was in the dungeon, and all the firstborn of the Pharaoh. And Pharaoh rose in the night with all his courtiers and all the Egyptians, because there was a loud cry in Egypt, for there was no house where there was not someone dead.
It's a little mean to kill the cattle. Like,
Why did you think they would do that?
I mean.
Yeah, food, right? Like this is a physical and a spiritual message too. Right? The idea of survival, of sustaining, of power, yeah.
Why don't we continue to paint our doors?
This is a
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I guess in place of that, you have the mezuzah,
Very good, so.
right? As a way to mark on the door, hold on, as a way to mark on the doorpost, it's that physical reminder of this moment. That is just.
Why is there a distinction between the destroyer and God? Because if God, part of God, the destroyer, because then it refers back to God. But only when when the firstborn are being killed, it's the destroyer, so is that a different angel
Yeah.
that's sent out to do that?
Yeah.
But then it reverts back to God did this, God did that,
Yeah,
so. I'm not sure if it's separate or it's part of God.
right. So the interesting thing about that is it becomes a little bit clear in the book of Job about God's ministering angels. It's not so clear in the 5 books, but it becomes much more clear in the book of Job where you actually are, you're sort of invited into this heavenly realm to understand that God is having these conversations with the other ministering angels.
But is it part of God, all these angels are distant?
I think that's up to your interpretation. The way that the text makes it seem is that it's, they can't go, so the way that you can make that argument is that those angels cannot go and do anything without God sending them. Right, like Satan or the angel of just the destroyer angel, all that, cannot go on their own accord into the world and do harm,
So the destroyer
is sent.
is the time.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good,
Okay.
right? That those types of angels they cannot make their own choices to go and to do and intervene, they are sent. Okay, so Pharaoh summons them and says, get out of here, right, like go, just leave, right? Take also, now this is interesting. Take also your flocks and your herds, as you said, and be gone, and may you bring a blessing upon me also, says Pharaoh. Okay? Where do we know this language from? Think about it, we've read it together, the story, do not go until you bless me. Who says it? Yeah, but who says it? You know, Jacob. Jacob says to the angel that he's wrestling with, don't go until you bless me. Right, and his name is changed, so there's this idea that like, even in the midst of difficulty, even Pharaoh, because now Pharaoh is seeing truly the power, right? Saying, don't go though until you bless me, right, put a blessing upon me. And the Egyptians urged the people, impatient to have them leave the country, for they said, we all will be dead. So the people, here we go, Fern. So the people took their dough before it was leavened, and their kneading bowls, wrapped in their cloaks upon their shoulders. He didn't make it up. The Israelites had done Moses' bidding and borrowed from the Egyptians objects of silver and gold and clothing, and God had disposed of the Egyptians favorably toward the people.
Borrow.
What?
Borrow.
Borrowed.
Feels like borrow there.
Borrowed.
It was a loan.
What's interesting is that this is gonna come back to us. I want you to see this, the silver and the gold.
That's right.
What do we use it for? You guys are Torah scholars. And God had just disposed the Egyptians favorably toward the people, and they let them have their request, thus they stripped the Egyptians. The Israelites journeyed from Ramses to Sukkot, about 600,000 fighting men on foot, aside from the non-combatants. Moreover, a mixed multitude went up with them, and very much livestock, both flocks and herds. And they baked unleavened cakes of the dough that they had taken out of Egypt, for it was not leavened, since they had been driven out of Egypt and could not delay, nor had they prepared any provisions for themselves. I'm going to leave this here for a moment. Is that true?
They weren't driven out.
What happened?
God let them go. God told them to go.
Okay, but
They had plenty of advance notice.
interesting, right? When we tell the story, right? Think about when we tell the story. Most of us have the image as Fern that it was so rushed. We're throwing dough on our back. We're grabbing anything we can. We're running. We barely have a sandal on. Forget anything else. Like we are going. We're racing to the shore, right? Like if you think about the image, if you have in your mind, when you read from all these books at the Seder table, and we tell this story, there's a momentum, right? There's an energy. God said, Moses and Pharaoh says it's time to go, and we just went. But what does the text say?
That we knew about this since the first, first casualty on the Egyptians, we knew it since the very first one.
Well, right now, what we know of is right after darkness, before the plague comes, right? And we have a night, right? That Moses and Aaron tell the people, do this thing. We even have time for a ritual and a meal. And it says we don't leave until the morning. We have time to go and ask for some gold and some silver, right? Some clothing.
11:1, it says,
Or 11:2, tell each of your people to borrow each man from his neighbor, and each woman from hers, objects of gold and silver, so it was
we knew,
prepared.
right? We were what?
Prepared.
We were prepared. Such an interesting word. We were prepared.
And the women even took timbrels, right?
I mean, you always take a timber when you're.
Right, and you're always gonna take a tambourine, like, that's
I
the
mean,
first thing, when there's a hurricane warning, I need to bring my tambourine.
I'm not leaving my tambourine.
I packed that one in my car.
Yeah, along with my sandal, my staff, and my unleavened bread. Yeah, yeah.
What was this about fighting men? A couple of verses ago.
Yeah, because the way that they count is when you count however many people you have as for an army.
It's mad.
It's not gonna just be a walk in the park here, right?
No, I know, but like we always play it as, you're gonna be chased down by the army, they want you back, and like, we had our own over there.
Well, but that's how we count, that's how the census is taken, when you count the people. And we know that we had 600,000+ men who can fight, who can protect, right? Who serve as like that army that go out.
But we're not planning for a fight.
I mean, you're not planning for a fight?
You have other people you're gonna.
Imagine, and not just forget the other people, but in just a moment, we start walking, Pharaoh's gonna realize what Pharaoh had done. Right? And we're chased,
And it's mad.
not happy, yeah. He's in grief too, by the way. No, really, he's in grief too, right? Like, he's lost his own son, much less all these firstborn of his people, right?
Right. Multitudes of what? Are these other than Jews coming with them?
Yeah.
So that's interesting too, which we do know, that there are those who go with them that are not Israelites, right?
And what do they become?
They become, like, either they become part of the tribe, right, all these things, because remember, throughout the rest of the story, we're gonna know, and the stranger in your midst. They should be to you as a native. They become part of, so whether it's people who grew to love them, the people who wanted to be they're not, right, not, because the only ones who are counted are the only ones who are counted are the men.
Later on, this guy comes down and he was from.
So there are a lot.
And his father was an Egyptian.
And his father was an Egyptian, that's
Still on
right,
there?
yeah.
Well, he just asked the question, just circling back to
I'm like,
that.
I haven't been in Torah study in 2 weeks, are we still on it 7 weeks later?
I'm not going
I'm
there.
here for 5.
What's your rush?
Right, what are you worried about?
I just wondering if we're still gonna be on it in 6 weeks when I come back.
You know, my lips are sealed on that one. Okay, but look here, I just find the language so interesting, right? That they had been driven out of Egypt, they could not delay, nor had they prepared any provisions for themselves. What's interesting here is that they did prepare, but they prepared to engage in that ritual that God had commanded of them, right? So, and what they were supposed to be doing from the night before redemption was not running around the house trying to fill their suitcases. It's a very interesting moment. The idea is that the night before you are to be freed, that you're gonna begin the journey of your life, this new beginning of walking towards the promised land. God is not focused on them filling up their suitcases with stuff.
Except gold and silver.
Well,
That was done the day before.
okay, work with me, right? But think about it, right? It's an interesting piece, it's an interesting piece. Because the language is interesting. Meaning. The night before. When you're sitting together, and remember, when do rituals or when do holidays begin? In the evening, right, in the beginning. And so the evening before, like in that evening time. They're all gathered in their homes and they couldn't leave their homes. Right, because of what was happening on the outside, so everyone had to be in their home. The Passover Seder is a ritual that's done where? Your home, okay? You're in your home, you're around the table, or you're in someone's home. Or you're here in this home, your spiritual home, right? You're in that space of comfort, of safety, of protection. engage in a ritual that will tell our story. And allow us to be reminded of the moment that we experienced redemption. And we should do that every year for all time. And tell the same story over and over again as if we lived it. At home, around a table, eating certain foods. And for it to be something different than any other meal or anything else that you've had. And there's something really powerful about that, and what's really unbelievable is that those who deeply feel themselves as Jews, who may not engage in any other ritual per se, or ever step foot in a synagogue, that this is a ritual that they attach to, that speaks their story also. And it is so incredible, like the power of this ritual that has sustained for generations. Around the table, with asking questions, eating certain foods. It's a sensory experience. It's a meal, it's a story. But it's a ritual that is a living, breathing testament to our history. Let's keep going. Something just went right there. So here's what I want to do. I don't want to keep reading. I want you to look in the Haggadahs. Take some of these and spread them out. So take these and spread them out. Like I have water to something out of here. Like split them up, like one to every 3 or 4 people.
Alright, so look at this one. Where's the second?
Pass them all the way down so everyone gets.
Yes, but I want to look at this one, I'm interested in yours.
No, you can. I'm just saying. It's like
Yes.
They should have it, it is the most.
Actually, last one is.
Wouldn't be here anything.
So if you're at home and if you have a Haggadah near you, you can open it up. I was just gonna offer the people who, right now, we're just looking at some different Haggadot. It's an interesting way for people to look at the Haggadot that tell the same story, but they do so in different ways. So I want you to go through it in groups, just look through them, and you can pass them around so people get to see others. But the beauty of these different Haggadot, the reason why I bring them is because it's a reflection of who we are as a people. Every corner of the world, Jews gather. Some of the basic foundational elements of every ritual are the same. But everyone has a little bit of a different recipe, a little bit of different ritual items on the table. Their Seder plates look a little bit different. Over time, we've added different elements to our Seder tables to tell different stories. Right, we sing, some read, some don't read, some eat, right?
Some rap, Dan Hamilton made one.
Some, yeah, right, there's all different ways. But what's the actual mitzvah itself?
Do the Seder. Remember God for all eternity and then bring you back.
Don't eat leavened bread.
Yeah, all those things, right? That to remember, and not just to remember, but to tell. Rabbi Jonathan Sachs said, we are a nation of storytellers. And I think that to me is one of those quotes that stays with me and has inspired me. Because
The story of.
primarily, yes, the first book is for sure. right? But the books on the shelves are not just words in a book. They're stories.
What is that? But I have a.
There's a story behind a lot of our mitzvot and our commandments. It's funny though, this is the second time you get Torah, the first time, in Leviticus, God also wants a lamb sandwich. I'm not kidding, there's the one where you put the bread on the lamb and shake it.
That's how you stop it, but I thought that.
Why is there?
Don't have it be out.
Just holding it together. It's just holding it together.
But it doesn't. If I have.
Right, that's a different, this is just an image of the matzah being held together.
Right, so it's nothing to do with that particular tonight.
No. So what do you, okay, so question, we have 5 minutes. What have you seen? What stands out for you? What's interesting to you in these different Haggadot? Anything?
The artwork, the emphasis on the artwork is different in the different.
Yeah, so the actual, to illustrate the words and the artwork in each of the Haggadot are different depending on which Haggadah it is. Beautiful. What else?
This looks like a book I use. I do this Seder every year, even when it's just with me. And so what I'm suggesting is that if anybody wants a place to go for a real Seder, in my opinion, I would downtown.
So nice, thank you. Okay, hold on, let's have one, let's focus it together. Yeah,
In the one that I looked at, we turned to the page with the 4 questions. In actuality, based on what you said and what I browsed, there, it opens up to even more questions.
yeah.
It allows us to ask why about a lot of things. And a lot of things that were part of the history. There was one page at the end of the one we saw that pertained to what are some questions about the future? Because we tell the story about the past, but it brought that up and I thought that was meaningful.
Beautiful. That is the richness of the Seder. The tradition teaches that everybody around the Seder table has the opportunity to teach and everyone has the opportunity to learn. That the youngest can teach the oldest can teach the youngest, that it makes no difference, that we all have the opportunity to learn. And the Seder table is a space for good questions and conversation, that is what the Seder is. It's not just about the reading of the words. Right, it says here, and you shall explain to your child on that day. We are doing this because of what the Eternal did for me when I went free from Egypt. The idea is to explain, to teach, to learn. That is the mitzvah. That is the obligation, the requirement to sit around that table, to ask the questions, to explain the ritual, that you shouldn't just do it to do it. It shouldn't be just a task. It's an opportunity for deep engagement. And the explanations and the understanding and the ideas and what would be or what could be or what was are an integral part of the experience and the ritual itself. Lauren.
We have the Haggadah written by the family of the hostages. And there are pictures also, but on some of the pages, they basically refer to reflection of what their children like about Passover. So I thought that was very beautiful.
Yeah. Beautiful.
One more thing.
Yeah.
There are there's not only talking, but there's action involved. There's engagement involved, giving each one a part. And the final thing is there's music, there's singing.
Yeah.
And the thing about singing, when you are singing, you cannot think of anything else. When you're eating or when you're listening, your mind can shift back and forth. But when you are participating and actually, saying the words and participating in the music and the verses and so forth, you cannot be distracted. So this is really almost like the ritual is like engaging all of the senses.
Performance of it. So one of the things that we used to do when I was younger, and our saviors was that we had, we asked questions. It's,
Yeah.
and there was someone there who was very knowledgeable and he knew.
Are you selling this in the bookstore?
No, it's just my own personal. Oh, hold on one second, I just wanna hear it for.
So he used to answer all the questions, so in order to get the questions started. He would come with some questions that were very basic, you know, so that you would get the kids involved in question. And it was just, it was a way to have a conversation around Seder to make it.
Yeah.
This is Rabbi Laila. Learning, that's why I didn't know what I knew. was-
Right. Right.
Your story, or one of the stories that he told us.
So there's a great line, I think I'm sure I've said it a number of times, but minhag kmo halacha. In the Talmud, minhag kmo halacha, custom is law. So it's like those stories, like those traditions, those things that happen become halacha, they become fact, the law, right? Like that's, it's a beaut, right, the lore becomes the reality. Anyway, so first of all, thank you all for sharing your stories, and I think the beauty of this week's Torah portion and what it reminds us is that we each have a story to tell. What's critical is that it's not just the stories for us to keep. They are the stories for us to tell and to share. And that's how we maintain the linking of the tradition from generation to generation. And so on this Shabbat, I want you to think about, what story do you want to share? What story do you want to tell? Little bit of a teeny tiny story, a big story. How do you live your story? But more importantly, how do you share your story and with whom? And think about that on Shabbat. And share one story this Shabbat with someone. I don't care who it is, whatever story it is, but share it, tell it. Because it's a powerful way to honor and to remember, but also to be bound to one another through a shared lineage and a shared experience. Shabbat shalom. Tonight we have services at 6 o'clock, Kol HaNeshama in the chapel, and 7:30 in the sanctuary. Okay, so at 6 o'clock in the